Yes. I actually meant. Maybe I'm not telling the truth. I came across this drug. No, I came across it. I heard about it a while back, and I think I might have even seen advertisements for it. And the only thing I know, we definitely talk about it, but I know we have talked about uh, like different tactics people were thinking about, or that were potentially out there for people that want to lose weight in relate in by eating less. So, and obviously, I want to say uh, appetite suppression drugs have been existing for a while, but apparently this one's like working. So, working enough so that apparently Walmart says that the drug Ozempic, I hope I'm saying it right, is making people buy less food. And I guess we can play the little video.
It turns out popular drugs used to suppress appetite, like Ozempic and Wegovy, may have an economic side effect. People who take them appear to be buying less food at Walmart, where today Elodie Nicholas got her prescriptions and her groceries.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that I'm buying less.
She started taking Ozempic after having 2 heart attacks, and she's lost 36 pounds since May.
Hey, look at that. Saving people's lives. Anyway, so it looks like Walmart and several food manufacturers are affected by consumers not buying food as much due to weight loss drugs. According to NBC Nightly News reports state people who use Walmart's pharmacies to receive weight loss drugs like Ozempic and the other one they mentioned, Wegovy, are buying less foods at its stores. If you're not aware, Ozempic is a medicine prescribed for diabetes, and Wegovy is prescribed for weight loss. New York Post shares that Nestle's share price dropped by more than 2.5% on Friday's Mondelez International. The company behind Oreos and Chips Ahoy stock fell by 2.7%. Its Niger Snacks beer sales have dropped too. Constellation Brands, the U.S. distributor for Modelo, especially, is down by 1.3%. So, as you can see, we got real numbers to show that like people are buying less food. Um, I'm correlating it to people using weight loss less appetite suppressing drugs is interesting, but you know I'm pretty sure they do have a good amount of research to back it up, and you have heard from literal people they are buying less food. So yeah, I mean, this kind of seems like something that's good, like literally impacting the market. So I'm interested to know what y'all think on this. Do you foresee? Because weight loss is always going to be a business. From gyms to drugs to the type of clothes that people sell or companies sell. It's always going to be a big business. Do you think that, or do you foresee that this could end up being a larger issue? I guess for the economy, or do you think that it's actually a positive sign of how things should be? Like, we're getting back to where the amount of food people should be buying and consuming. We'll start with you, Ace. We'll start with you, Ace. Question mark.
Sorry. When this happened, I'm just gonna give the disclaimer that I mute to check the stream and I keep forgetting to unmute.
Oh
So
yeah, no,
my apologies.
no, it's my apology. I should be more conscious of that. My apologies. But yeah, thank you. I'll
It's
keep
all
that in
good.
mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was so I think this is a complex one, and it's kind of difficult to me to come to a conclusion right away, but the first thing that jumps to my mind about the story is like drugs being at the center of it. Um and this is not to say that like my views are correct or not, but whenever whenever I think about drugs, it's like it's always something that I have tried to distance myself from, and um I don't know, continue to do that. Like doing anything with drugs versus finding a natural way to do it in terms of like, becoming more healthy is something that I've always tried to do for myself and I guess would endorse. Um so I don't know, like just that aspect of it gives me pause as far as this being a good thing. Um but at the same time, I do realize that or acknowledge that obesity is definitely an issue. In
especially in the states.
yeah, yeah, exactly, especially in the U.S. And for there not only to be like a method that seems to be working, but like actually, potentially having an effect on the market is like I don't know. It's kind of shocking, and eh, it does seem like a good thing from the surface level. So um yeah, like I don't know, I'm kind of torn in that way where if it is having the effect of people, people losing weight and people buying less food, I can't say it's all bad. Like it does seem to be a slightly positive thing.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I guess I'll leave it that there for now.
Got you, got you. And obviously, with anything for us and for any listeners, we're never here to like come up with the exact conclusive answer for everything in life. We're just here to have conversations, think about things, have deep discussions, and if we can glean a moral story from things, that's what we try to do. So it's obviously no worries. And I will say, similar to you, I think I have a similar relationship when it comes to drugs. Um, but one thing I've started to realize more or think about more or even just notice that it exists is that while when we think of drugs, especially like, some of these processed things that some of these larger corporations make, it is kind of like it does make you a bit wary. But one thing that I've been able to find is a lot of times there are natural versions of like a lot of drugs or a lot of supplements that you could take.
Yeah.
So like even in hearing this, and I know it's not all going to be 1 to 1, but if it changes anything for you, and it's a kind of a tangent from the like the overall what's the outcome of it, but it would it change anything for you if there was like just this natural like root or supplement that existed in the wild where if you took it you have less appetite?
Maybe, but that's a good question because I would like I don't know. This is speaking from somebody who's never had any type of weight issues in the past, besides perceiving myself as too skinny. Um,
What? When the sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, but when the hell was this?
well, it's pretty much a constant thing.
You perceive yourself as too skinny?
Yeah, I
You
don't know. I don't know if we want to go off on,
dog, just
but
whatever you do, just ask me to come over and chill and you'll correct that perception real quick.
This is a time where it probably benefit us to have like face cams and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
no, yeah, I don't know. That's just something that has always been uh part of me, and I think it's because I have my dad as like my role model still, and if
Yeah,
people who
that's
know
the
my dad, like I think it'll
yep.
make sense. um, but yeah, coming from somebody who hasn't had any issues with obesity or anything like that, um, it's I find it difficult to weigh in as far as how people should be approaching weight loss or my opinion on it. The only thing I can say is like I would hope that finding ways to combat the mentality that doesn't rely on like like an external source, almost treating it as trying to overcome an addiction um versus like using supplements to overcome it as like a treatment.
Like a
Um,
substitute instead of like consuming food, you're just consuming something that you use to get
yeah,
over.
yeah, 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 exactly. I feel like the more, um the more healthy approach in my mind is to approach it from like a mental standpoint and try to um come up with ways and maybe like like a therapy type situation versus coming or versus um using any type of supplement to combat um the obesity. I feel like in my mind that is the better approach, but again, like that's just from the perspective of somebody who has not gone through struggling with obesity.
You can give all the disclaimers you want. I could already feel someone trying to
Yep.
cancel you for that type of
Yep.
take already.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep.
ah, such is the gamble when you do podcasts. Anyway, yeah. After hearing this, Ghost, what do you think? Do you think that this could have a larger issue, um, both from a market and just a society standpoint, or do you think we're actually heading in the direction of like, a positive direction, and this is a sign of how things should be? What do you think?
Um, I'm kind of with Ace on this one. Well, for one, just what I hear in general, like drugs or drugs used for anything, to be honest, it puts me in a skeptical mind state because how many drugs have been put out and like in the past, like it was like what cigarettes and asbestos, all these things that weren't looked at as harmful before, but then 20 years later, it's like, oh, this is actually giving you cancer. So I
Cigarettes
don't
weren't.
know.
When were cigarettes not seen as harmful? In the 1700s?
No,
Well,
like
what do you
60s.
mean? Cigarettes, like people were fine with like kids smoking cigarettes. Like it really was not known that they give you cancer or if it was known that it had negative side effects, but they would cover it up and it was like constant advertisement. It really was looked at as fine. Like health wise, it wasn't a negative thing at all.
I think we just used to do things that were a bit more like harmful or that led to like low life expectancy. I don't know if
People did not know. I mean, they've had like advertisers had to have to put it on the cartons now that it can lead to this, and that, but people didn't know. Like they really didn't.
fair enough. I do agree with that. I don't know about the didn't know. I maybe not.
People,
Maybe
well, maybe the
widespread.
higher ups did, but people. I don't know if you ever seen Mad Men, and this is obviously not like 100% historically accurate, but a lot of stuff in Mad Men specifically talked about this, like the cigarettes issue and all that. And there's a lot of covering up that went on with advertisement and all that. But I guess that's kind of beside the point.
Yeah, fair enough. I didn't mean to detract from the
Yeah, yeah,
from
no,
the
you're
real
good.
point.
But I mean, that aside, like maybe let's say that this is an actual legit drug and it's been FDA approved and they don't find any negative side effects with it.
Oh, it definitely has
Like,
been. You
yeah,
can't. I don't
it's
think you can sell stuff from Walmart just willy nilly unless it's FDA approved.
yeah. Um, I don't know. It's kind of a weird one because in general, I think people in America in particular do eat a lot more than they should be, a lot more unhealthy than a lot of other places in the world, and some of it is by design in that it's not an official like addictive substance like tobacco or something, but a lot of the sugary stuff can get addictive to an extent, and that's kind of the culture that America's known for at this point, like McDonald's and fast food. And I think if people were to eat less and eat less junk, it is a net good thing. But if it comes at the if it's because you're using a drug as a crutch, I don't I don't think there's that's like a great basis or a way to do it because it's I don't want to say it's lazy, but I mean there's like you could lose weight and I don't want to say decrease your appetite, but if you exercise more, if you uh, had a better diet, then that's going to go a long way towards solving the same issue of obesity and all that. And I get some people have it like legit health things where they feel inclined to eat more, but it's I don't know. It's a slippery slope for me,
Hmm.
and I feel like if you start out with a drug for this, then it's it just feels like taking a shortcut, kind of. Maybe that's not fair to say, but that's just kind of the way I look at it.
No, I don't think there's anything too inherently wrong with that. Again, somebody probably could try to cancel you for that, but I think largely we have the same view on the matter. And yeah, you brought up a a great point about how we're just looking at the side effect of it this impacting the market, but we don't know the side effects long term of how this can impact people's bodies or mentality. And while they might see a net gain or net loss of the weight, but we don't know the full effects of what something like this could do to a person. And yeah, obviously, the way to fully combat something like this, I think a lot of people would suggest it is more of a mental thing. Like if we were to change the way our mental relationship with food in the states, I think that could impact more people and have longer lasting effects. And to what you were saying, Ace, I have heard of people using like therapy or like counseling as a method of like it obviously not it wasn't directly tied to weight loss, but they saw it like getting some like mental therapy for that, and
Mm,
it ended up having it ended up working.
nice
Um,
to hear
but
that.
yeah, yeah, I mean, it obviously is like you said originally, it is very complex because, you know, there's gonna be a lot of people out there that say, hey, if this thing can uh, give me a fast track solution to get this weight down, and I've had what 2+ heart attacks, and I need to lose weight like today and not, go through not the effort, but the time intensive or consumption of like doing it another way. I might have to do this. I might not necessarily have the option as of right now. It's like a little like life or death type situation. So obviously we're not ignorant to the fact that that could be a possibility for some people. But again, on an overall level, you do in general might want to be on the side of addressing the root cause of why we are in a state of the rate of obesity that we have. And if you're I'm still mad at us for any of the takes that we've said, there's a lot of fitness channels and podcasts where they tell you even way worse. So go cancel them before you cancel us. uh, but yeah, I don't think there's too much more on this unless you guys have anything else. But yeah, there's nothing else. We can move on to the next topic.
Cool.
Again, this could be something that we might come back to in the future because I am interested to know if there is any other impacts or what people are thinking about that.